Coach, what about the run game? We all know what Shedeur brings to the table. We can talk about it. It's fun to talk about, but there's no surprises there with him. But that running back room is pretty much flipped from the end of last season. You couple that with the new offensive line. What role do you think the run game will play in the Colorado offense in 2024?
Well, I think going into this season, it's going to play a huge thing. That was one of the things when Coach Prime switched from Sean Lewis to Coach Shermer. He wanted an NFL style run game. And so you finally have the line in place to be able to give those guys opportunities. Now, running back is a position that's been de emphasized over the last decade. You see that by how late guys are going in the draft. Hardly any running backs get drafted in the first round. So there was some movement at the running back position. But Neely, I think the guys that they brought in are going to be able to tote that rock and really run it downhill behind this front.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that you're going to see from Coach Shermer a more diverse offense this year because, as you said, we have the talent now to block for the run game. And those big boys love run blocking more than they love pass blocking. So you can reward them with a run because it's easier to go that way than it is to go this way. And so I think that we're going to see a running game where you're going to have a back that's going to contribute anywhere from 100 to 150 yards a game. One of the things that you're also going to have is backs that can roll out of the backfield into the flat and catch passes from Shedeur. Not only to stay back there and pass protect and but can roll out for a pass as well. So the run room is going to be more significant this year than it was last year. And I think you have the same even with the tight ends, that you're going to see a more spread, diverse offense as far as who getting the ball, because we're not going to be one-dimensional. We are going to be able to control the lead when we have it with the run game. We're also going to be able to wear down defensive line with the run game. That's something we did do it all last year. Coach, it wasn't that we didn't do it well. We weren't able to do it at all. When you look at those overtime games and some of the close games that we lost, if we had just a mediocre run game last year from a clock control management, those games flipped the other way. So I'm looking for the run game this year to have that kind of impact, where we're not just passing the ball 3 times in a row and giving the ball right back. We can extend drives now on the ground and, more importantly, run that clock down with the lead and get out of there with a win, something that was very difficult last year.
We are in the fourth quarter of the Big Boys here on the Pregame Show Network. Let's talk Shedeur Sanders. Neely has seen every single snap that this man has played from Jackson State to Colorado. Neely, you are on record of saying each year he improves in some area. Coming into his 4th season of college football, what areas do you see potential for an already outstanding quarterback to improve?
His physical condition, and I'm going to start there. He was banged up last year, understandably, leading the nation and getting sacked. You're going to be sore week to week. He has improved his core strength, improved his lower body strength. His arm strength has improved as well. And what I like, though, more than anything is his approach now that he's in the building. He changed his hairstyle, Tolly, back to what I call the Jackson State Championship haircuts. And he said, because this year is about business. So, he's taking the braids down, taking the twist down. He's back to that Shedeur fade, if you want to call it that. And his mindset of working out with his receivers this past month in Canton, Texas, at the Country Prime Ranch, to what he's doing here in the offseason, doing player-led practices, PLP days. This guy's focused. He's dialed in. He wants to show the world what he's capable of. And I think he's going to do it because he's worked hard in this offseason to improve from an already dynamic record-breaking year at Colorado.
His strongest ability is the fact that the type of leader that he is and the way he can rally people around him. But he doesn't rest on his laurels. He continues to try to improve, like what Neely said. And I think that says a lot because he's had to play through a few offensive coordinator changes since his time at Jackson State as well. I think he might be on 3 or 4 in terms of offensive coordinators that he's had the opportunity to play for. So now getting some continuity going into his 2nd year with Coach Shermer, I think is going to really benefit him in the amount of time they've been able to spend together. But he's been working awfully hard.
We talked a lot about offensive line all throughout the year, all throughout the offseason. But one of the issues last year was the inability to get enough pressure on the opposing quarterback and the defensive line. You got some new faces there. You got the best to ever do it, arguably, as a coach there at Warren Sapp. What differences do you anticipate, and should Colorado fans hope for Carl Reed up front on that defensive line?
Well, they're gonna get off the ball. Sapp's gonna teach them everything they need to know and understand about pass rushing. And what I like about Coach Sapp's coaching style, he's not necessarily teaching them to do it how he did it because they probably can't do what he could do. He was one of the greatest of all times. He is giving them tools to use based on their talent and their ability level and teaching them how to play within themselves and their game. And I think that's something that a lot of coaches don't do, especially guys who played at the level he played at.
Neely, you
Yeah,
talk about that with Coach Prime a lot. His tolerance to know that guys aren't going to go out there and beat Deion Sanders. You see that same thing with Warren Sapp, Neely?
I do. But what I also see is these young players love the guys they're being coached by and want to run through a brick wall for them. They are so motivated from Damian Lewis to Vincent Dancy to Warren Sapp. You have this three-headed monster that's coaching everybody on that D-line as well as the edge rushers as well. And so those three coaches, the way they communicate, the way they work together, the way they have the same philosophy, not to mention the depth that you've added and the talent that you've added. We're going to play some football on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Coach Sapp told me yesterday, he said, look, Neely, week one, we're setting the tone. Within the first 10 plays of the game, we're getting the quarterback. We're not going to let 10 plays go by and he doesn't feel us. So we're going to be aggressive. We're going to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage, and we're going to definitely stop the run and not give up big plays. And so the philosophy, again, Vincent Dancy, coaching the edges, Damian Lewis as well as Warren Sapp together, the tutelage that these players are getting, you can just see it in their eyes, Coach Reed. They're motivated. They're hungry. They want to perform for them. They want to not let them down. So it's an extension of Coach Prime in that defensive room now.
Neely, we all know the aggressive side of Warren Sapp because we've seen that. We've seen that in the highlights, the interviews, that high energy. I want to go kill your quarterback. What is that coaching side? I don't want to call it a softer side, but what is that coaching side of him like? You get to see that up close and personal daily.
Man, great question. I love that because people don't get to see that in Warren Sapp. He's smiling when he coaches. He loves the interaction with these young people. He loves motivating them and teaching them and seeing that light bulb goes off. And he's not doing it from an aggressive, gruff, in-your-face, dogging you out standpoint. He's almost like a classroom teacher standing on grass. He's showing them technique and subtle things. And he has a smile on his face because he's excited to be teaching it to somebody. And as Coach Reed said, he understands they may not be able to do what I did physically because of the different gifts we were blessed with, but some of the technique things that you can get an advantage with, I'm teaching them those things. And he's teaching with a smile on his face, and they're feeding off his energy. And they love the way he walks in and bear hugs them and pushes them around and talks stuff to them over breakfast. He's hugging everybody in the building. He's giving the offensive players the business when they're all together and passing each other in the hallway. He loves what he's doing, man, and you can see that energy when he's coaching because he's all smiles when he's doing it.
I would love to see Neely and Coach Sapp when there's one piece of like barbecue duck left. And I'd love to see that hand work. I would love to see that.
Let me help you out there. There ain't nothing to see. I'm gonna concede. You got it.
I expected more from you, Neely. Don't miss a meal, Neely. I expected more.
I'm gonna let him get that piece of barbecue, but I am gonna ask him if he wants his cornbread or not.
You gonna eat your cornbread. All right, let's get out of here on this because this is a busy panel. They got places to be. Neely and I touched on this, so Carl, I'm gonna let you have the final word. We talk about NILs, and some of the latest news. We've had players suing coaches at previous destinations because they're saying you promised me this bag and you didn't come through. Snoop Dogg just announced that their bowl game, what is it, the Arizona Bowl, they're going to be the first one to pay NILs. I'm wondering, Carl, will we get to a spot? How much power will these players are sitting out bowl games. Will we get to a point where the players are saying, hey coach, that bowl's, the bag's a little bigger over there. Like what kind of potential paths can this lead us down?
Let me give you something to think about for us to get out of here on this note. We're talking about guys missing bowl games, money packages. Be prepared for in the future for a player to negotiate the amount of classes he has to take per semester because he's working and he wants to focus on football. That's the next thing that I see the players trying to pull off.
You heard it here first. Would not surprise me. Definitely something to keep our eyes on for the future as the game continues to change. One thing that will not change, we'll continue to drop gems here on the Big Boys on the Pregame Show Network. He is Carl Reed, the man in the middle. Don't miss a meal. Neely is right there. We have found out that the man will not fight over the final duck wing if Warren Sapp is on the other side of the plate. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us here on the Pregame Show Network. I'm Tolly Carr in Atlanta. We'll talk to you a little later.